Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the season 2 of the Growth Invitation. As you all know, in this season, I am committed to bringing you powerful females from all around the world to share with you their stories of challenges, their growth, as an invitation and inspiration to you so that you know no matter where you are and what you've experienced, where your starting point is, you can always choose to grow and manifest your dream future. Today, we have the amazing Justine Blanchard with us. Hello, Justine.
Hello, great to be here.
And we're going to be talking about healing journeys. Both myself and Justine are coaches and in different modalities, but we have both been on our own healing journey. So we are absolutely passionate about this. We have done so many things. So yeah, today Justine is going to be sharing with us her story of how she's connected her dots in many different zigzag ways along her journey to get to where she is now. So welcome once again, Justine, and we'd love to hear from you about where you started from and where you are now.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love the introduction. Thank you. It's great to be here. And we talked about what we wanted to call this live, and we settled with connecting the dots for healing. And I first want to address healing because I think sometimes people think about healing as in, they've gone through some kind of real trauma, or they've had something real big happen in their childhood, or, in relationships, or all kinds of things, trauma, or, just there's some kind of real issue or thing that they need to heal from. But I genuinely believe that everybody needs to have or should have somebody, and I'm using those words carefully, somebody who is outside of their family, outside of their friend circle, somebody professionally trained in any kind of modality to talk to or to work with, because we all have things that happen to us every single day, even if it's we get cut up in line at a store, or in traffic, or somebody goes past us at a red light. All of these little things affect us in ways that we don't realize. And when we're talking about mapping out our healing journeys, nothing is linear. Healing and working in any kind of way, whether it's a business coach, a life coach, anybody, it's not an A to B situation. Everything is wiggly wobbly, meandering, all sorts. So and my story is no different.
And I love how, you use those very descriptive words, like it's meandering, it's like wibbly wobbly, because that is exactly life. There is no straight lines in nature. Straight lines are all man-made, but we all have this perception that it's got to be A to B in the straightest line as you can, because if you could put it on Google Maps, that's what it shows until you press okay, now how are you going to get there? Then it goes, and then you get to destination. So, so let's kind of dive in more about, where did you start? Like, was it like you woke up one day and go, right, I'm going to have some healing today? Or was it like,
No.
different? Were you aware that you needed healing?
No. In a word, no. So I started my journey. And first of all, let me go back and say that although I suppose looking back in, overall and reflecting through, my childhood, my teenage years and everything like that, I suppose I've always been a spiritual person, but at some point that was really suppressed, I guess. I grew up in the US. I moved to London when I was 20 during university. I'm a dual citizen. And I, just kind of went through university, had lots of experiences during university, settled my roots, got a job, just started working to support myself, to, pay the rent, all that kind of thing, did various different jobs, sales, marketing, admin, customer services, partied like, any 20 something person in another country would do, and I suppose any kind of spiritual connection was just, I guess, suppressed, and I became busy. And I became busy like a lot of people become busy. And I now talk to clients about, how not to wear busy as a badge of honor, because it doesn't mean the busier you are does not equal the more successful you are. But
I feel that so much. Thank you for addressing that.
Yeah. But that was that was the road I was on. That was the path I was on. And then it got to a point where I was like, right, don't want to do this anymore. And I was then it was in between jobs, and I was in the process of purchasing the franchise that I owned. I owned a Curves Fitness for Women franchise from 2013 to 2019. So this is 2012. So 2012, I had just broken up out of a relationship. The sale of the business was taking a really long time. I wasn't working. I didn't really know what to do. And I didn't know that business coaching or life coaching existed at this time, but I knew that I was kind of lacking a little bit of focus. I thought I knew what I wanted, but it was taking a long time to get it. And I was just a little bit, I felt a tiny bit directionless. So I went to therapy because I knew about talking therapy. Reflecting on that time, what I would have benefited more from at that particular stage was a life coach, or maybe a business coach or a career coach. But I went to talking therapy, and things started getting a little bit uncovered there, but I was not ready for it at all. So stop that in its tracks kind of thing. Was in other relationships kind of thing, didn't really think about that. And then, got the business, and then got busier and busier and busier. And a friend of mine who is a mindfulness coach, she kept asking me if I would be interested in mindfulness and if I would be interested in attending an introduction workshop with her and everything. I was like, no, step back. Like, I've got my busy. I don't have time to meditate. What is this mindfulness? Just go away kind of thing, in the nicest way possible.
And was it like I'm slightly aware of me being uncomfortable, therefore I don't want it? Or was it you were just completely oblivious?
I think at that particular time, I was completely oblivious. I was just on that hamster wheel. I then, once I got the franchise, once I realized that it is what I wanted and I was really pushing forward for it, I then all of a sudden, because I didn't start it from scratch, I bought the business that was already existing. Once I then got it, it was like, oh no, like this is what I wanted. And now I have it. And it's just like reality struck of like, now I have staff, now I have a premises, now I have, franchise agreement. Now I've got to do membership. I've got all of these members to look after. I have to do all of my own personal training, because Curves is a gym. So I then, got, really physically involved, and when you're a fitness instructor from morning to evening, and also running the business and also managing staff, and also, with the energies of people walking in and out all day, I didn't really know what I know now also about energies, in the way of like maybe protecting myself and my own energies. So if you think about being in an environment where like 50, 60 women at different stages and different moods and stuff are walking in and out of your space, I'm an empath. I didn't know that then, so I would come home from the day and just absolutely melt into the sofa and was just like, I cannot physically speak one more word today. So it was just, and that was a constant, so actually it was, I ended up selling that business in February 2019. And my friend asked me again, just at the right opportune time, if I wanted to come to a mindfulness workshop. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready now. And it was like, the stress of the job, I kind of liken it to having a cork in a champagne bottle. Everything was in, all of my busy was the bubbles inside that champagne bottle. And as soon as I
shaken up as well.
Yeah. And I finished, and the cork came out. I did this mindfulness class, and it was like everything, and then from there,
Can I just ask a quick question about that? Because,
please.
You say, oh, I just went and had a mindfulness session, but what was like the big thing, or was there like a specific question someone asked you? Was it something that your friend said at the session that made you realize, oh wow, like this is what I needed?
Do you know what? I definitely can answer that question. So it was an intro workshop. There were 4 of us. Nina was the mindfulness instructor, and there were 4 of us in her living room. And she did this activity. She picked somebody else. She did this activity where she piled cushions on the lap of this woman, and she was asking this woman, like, and how does that feel? And how does that feel? And how does that feel? And while I was watching that, I was experiencing it. Like, I felt the heaviness of each of those cushions being piled on, and everything that other lady was saying of the example she was giving of how it felt, and the example of the challenge that she felt, and why that first cushion went on there. Like, I felt each one of those things deeply. And in the end, she kind of pushed them off. And I just, and it was her experience. It was her story. It was her experience. She was the one who physically had these cushions piled on her. But I felt that utter relief when those cushions left her lap. And I was like, whoa, there's something in this. And then I started, and then I had a bit more time on my hands as well. So I started really like looking into it and looking at the various different modalities, trying different things. And I said to Nina, like, yeah, I want to do the full course, because that was just an intro. So I said, yeah, I want to do the whole course. But in true Justine style, at the time of being busy, I wanted to do that 8-week course in 4 weeks.
You got to be busy, right?
And bless her, she did actually tailor it for me so I could. That was too quick. So for anybody who's considering a mindfulness course right now, listen to your teacher and do it in the way that because they know they're the experts. But yeah, just really started opening my eyes. Timeline wise, again, timelines aren't linear, but the linear timeline to that is I was in a previous relationship, which I didn't realize was not a good relationship for a number of reasons. But because things happen for a reason, I've learned a lot from that relationship. But what happened was I then moved out of the area. I moved out of the area. And when I moved out of the area, I then did a little bit of hypnotherapy and also discovered Reiki at the same time. Now, Reiki, as you know, and hopefully some of our watchers and listeners know, is an incredible, powerful connection to the universe. And after Reiki level 1, things looked different, sounded different, felt different. All of my senses were just a little bit more heightened. And the empath in me that had been suppressed for so long was like, I was understanding her, I was connecting with her, and it was just so amazing. And I ended up leaving that relationship quite promptly with the combination of practicing the mindfulness I'd learned, practicing the Reiki that I had just learned and the hypnotherapy sessions that I was going to, left that relationship. So all of my self-healing was definitely helped by at least 3 different practitioners at that time. So yeah, left that relationship. And then that's when my real self-discovery and self-healing and growing and my self-acceptance, my self-worth. I have a story about self-esteem, which, you know, kind of comes next, which was another kind of pivotal moment, which again took me on my linear journey here.
Yeah, and you know, there are a few things that you said, which, I mean, there's so many things to unpack from what you just shared, but a few really key points that I pulled out from that is, number one is we call it self-healing, but it doesn't mean you got to do everything alone. Like, self-healing means you got to do the work for yourself because no one else can heal for you, and you have to have chosen to gone to that introduction. You have to chosen to have thought, well, I felt something when those cushions fell, that like got pushed off, but you needed to make that decision to, okay, I'm going to stop ignoring this pain now and doing something about it. And also you needed to decide to have left the relationship rather than staying, but along the way, having guidance of people who have done this thing, who have got the knowledge and the practices, is really important as well. So self-healing doesn't mean you've got to do it alone. Self-healing just means you got to be aware enough to make the decisions for yourself.
Absolutely.
With the support of other people.
With this, absolutely. And it's about listening to the whispers of your intuition. You know, when I went to the hypnotherapy sessions, I didn't seek out my hypnotherapist. It was somebody that I'd met through networking, and we were having a one-to-one coffee meeting in Acosta, and I just really loved her vibe and love her voice, you know. And I said to her, can I name check? Her name is Vidya. And I just said to her, I said, Vidya, how does this work? Like, I want to experience a session with her. And partly I was thinking from like a real, like, logical networking hat kind of way of, you know, if I experience something, then it will be easier for me to refer business to her because I'll know the way that she works, kind of thing, you know? So I was kind of justifying it almost in my head of, oh, I don't really need it, but, you know, this is from a business perspective, I can help, you know, we can network and collaborate and stuff if I know a bit more about how she works. And I basically got to the first session and spent, I don't know, the first 50 out of 60 minutes in tears. I was like, okay, yeah, I think I need to be here. So.
Yeah, and without those guided questions or someone guiding you through, you're probably more likely to, well, you're most likely not going to know the questions to ask yourself or even be open enough to talk about it. And going back to your first comment, when we first started, is you need someone who is completely impartial to your entire life to come in, because then otherwise lines become blurred and you don't want to open up as much to your partner, to your family, or whatever. And then the second thing that I want to really kind of unpack a little bit more was about how, you know, those things that made you realize and how you decided to, I want to go there, I want to experience this, I want to experience that. It's really funny that you said you had to use your logical mind to justify what you actually really needed. And so, you know, maybe you mentioned that you've got a self-esteem story, so I'd love to hear that. But, you know, maybe there was also a little bit of, logically, your mind is saying one thing, but actually subconsciously or really deep down, you need something else that you might not even be aware of.
Totally. And it's about, being with your eyes and your ears and all of your senses a little bit more open, and being able to connect to ourselves and hear the whispers of the intuition, and just allow for the intuition to guide. It's, again, the path is not linear. It's wiggly and it's wobbly and it's meandering and it forks, and there's decisions to be made. And so the self-esteem story. So this is the start of the pandemic. I was on an online networking meeting, online training call, and the person doing the talk was talking about self-esteem. Now, I, up until that point, would have always said that I'm somebody with, good self-awareness, good self-esteem, good self-worth, or all of those things. But actually, on reflection, I was not. And, she was going through a list of, low self-esteem can present in like this, and like this, and like this, and like this. And she was showing a list. And as she was showing the list and talking about each thing, I thought, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. And was getting increasingly more upset. And I knee-jerk reaction. I turned my screen off of Zoom. I wrote in the chat, looks like my self-esteem is lower than I thought it was. And I left the meeting and just basically sobbed. And I was just like, and then the overthinking comes too, because it's like, oh no, like all those people have seen that in the chat, and now I'm not even there. And I was like, all this stuff. But that was another pivotal moment. Sidebar to that, Nick, my husband, was on that call. And he wasn't my husband at the time. He was just my friend. Saw that and drove to where I was, because his friend needed a hug.
Oh.
And that was also a pivotal point in my healing journey, because he is very, very supportive of me in everything that I do when it comes to my healing journey, my discovery of myself, everything that I do work-wise and everything. So as a team, it's helped. And I totally wasn't planning on saying that on this live, but I mention it too, because it's we're talking about being self-healing and self-discovery and everything, but it is all of the people that are around us. Some people are around us to support us, and some people are around us to drag us down. And what we need to do is be able to connect with ourselves enough and our intuition to realize which are the people to keep and which are the people to bless and release.
I love that. And we all have those people around us who might not be serving us anymore, and serving in the nicer sense, not like, it's a give and take. Every relationship is a give and take, and we give some, we take some, and it's a flow. And without the give and the take, it becomes like a completely take relationship. And then that's what I mean by no longer serving us. And I feel like, we all have that. Are we aware enough? Are we careful enough with ourselves? Are we willing enough to just love ourselves through that journey of, right now, this relationship is not helping me, or it's not serving me. I release it, love and bless them. And then maybe at some point down the line, your paths reconnect and you are back in line with each other. And that's okay. It's not about, let's burn all the bridges and never talk to them again. It's how can we love and release and bless them. But then if they come back, great. If they don't, it's also great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the self-esteem part. And I have since continued to, try different, healing modalities and have lots of different people help me along the way. I think it's really important. Again, mentioned about how self-healing is about being present and being ready to do that work, but also to find the right people who help. The way that I became the type of coach that I am, I'm a body confidence and wellness coach, is because I was at that time also of the low self-esteem period, or the realization of such, is I was introduced to a book called Romancing Your Body by Astrid Longhurst, who has since become one of my most important mentors, because it was her coaching course that I did to bring me to where I am. And that is very, very much focused on connection with the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the soul body. And that when one of those is out of alignment, it throws the whole thing, throws everything out of alignment. So it's really important to connect the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the soul body. And I think all of the various different things that I was doing and exploring and learning about led me to that course, and have since led me to all of the additional development and training and learning that I've done, that I'm now able to pass through to clients, because I learned how to meet myself where I was, so I can then now work with clients to meet them where they are.
Yeah. And that's like, it's, and I think that's something that is fundamental to life coaching, but also something as personal as Reiki is, are we as coaches able to go down deep far enough for ourselves, rather than saying, oh, well, you down there? Okay, I'll see you down there. At some point, have we gone down there first, so that we can also hold the hands of our clients to say, it's okay, I've been here. I can come back. I can bring you back out safely.
Yeah.
So, that is fundamental. And I think, going back to linking us back onto the title of connecting the dots, your journey wasn't okay, now I need healing and let's get going and let me just go this one path. It's been, maybe I don't need this. Then, oh, maybe I do need this. And then it's trying so many different things. How do you know which modality works for you or which doesn't?
Well, unfortunately, it's not a straightforward answer either. It is about finding the person that you vibe with in the modality that you vibe with. There are however many thousands of Reiki practitioners out there. There are however many tens of thousands of life coaches there are out there. And, we all have very similar tools. We all have very similar training. We all have some access to very similar books and things, but it's our own personal story that brings us to the coaching table, if you will. And it's our own perspective and our own, experiences and personalities and perspective that will bring to our clients. So intuition, vibe, energy, trial and error, which I know not everybody wants to go through. But it's not a quick fix. It's not a one and done situation. It's not a just take this pill and you're going to be all better. And, and then we can also get into whole realms of toxic positivity and, what somebody else was telling me about spiritual bypassing. I'm going to do a meditation one day and all of a sudden everything is going to be gone and all good. But, there are steps, there are dots to connect. There is a map for this healing journey. And you don't always know where it ends. And
Yes.
actually, personal development and personal learning and personal healing never ends, I'm afraid.
And I think that's the part of the fun of it, is actually trying something new. Now, my personal experience has been when I actually tried out something new, go, oh, actually, I quite like that one. Oh, I quite like that one. Oh, no, I did not like that one. Like, and it can't, but as you evolve, like as I evolved on my personal journey, I needed different things. Because at the beginning, I was similar to you, like mine was one question: do you love yourself? That was my question. I go, I love myself till I brought myself here. No, do you love yourself? And that was like 3 times that person asked me. And I go, oh. That was my starting point, which I didn't even realize. So, but then and that, I think that's why, there's so many modalities out there and so many different coaches out there, which is amazing because it tailors to every person's requirements and needs at their particular stage, at that particular layer of the onion that they've peeled off. It's the next, what serves you for the next one? What serves you for the next one?
Yeah.
So yeah, and and before we wrap up on this conversation today, I really want to ask you, from all of the things that you've done, all of the whole journey, what is one piece of advice and one tip that you can give to our audience today who might be experiencing something that you did, who might be a little bit on the fence about, is this healing thing real? Do I need it? Or, what is this? That kind of mindset. What would be your advice?
Well, I think the absolute first thing that we need to all consider to do, and again, I'm using the word need carefully here, is to think about the words that we use when we're talking to and about ourselves. Because all words carry energy, and all words create a visual, which then creates a thought, which creates the behavior, which creates the beliefs and everything. So it all starts with the way that we talk to and about ourselves. So even if we just start with the tiniest little thing of, a kindness affirmation to ourselves, and then graduate up to writing your own affirmations and saying them in the mirror as mirror statements and everything. But, even like you mentioned, do I love myself? Is even just starting really small with, I love myself. I am going to be kind to myself today. Just that. Wake up in the morning. If nothing else, I am going to be kind to myself today. Set that as your daily goal for the entire day. If you do nothing else, if you achieve nothing else in a day, I am going to be kind to myself today. And I think it all really starts from there. And I think once you start speaking to yourself nicer and you're being more kind to yourself, everything else ripples out. And to listen to the intuition and talk to people, because we all know people in our personal and professional networks that know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who is going to be able to help. A life coach, a business coach, a Reiki practitioner, a crystal healer. If you don't want to go down the spiritual route, there's still so many different types of people to talk to, and we're all there. I mean, connection's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And actually, for the audience out there, if you want to have a little game and try out what Justine just said in terms of words carry energy, go back and watch the first part of what Justine was saying when she was talking about pushing and being busy, and notice her language there, and notice her language from the second half of the interview. You already see there's a difference because it carried different energy for her, even us. We are having this 30-minute conversation.
Yeah.
So that's a little game for you to play if you're interested.
And put your affirmation in the chat below in the links.
Yes. Yes,
What will you
absolutely.
commit? What will you commit to affirming for yourself today?
Yes. So thank you so much for that, Justine. I think your story is really inspiring, and it's
Thank
so
you.
important to remember that it's not a straight line. It's loads of different random dots that seem random, and we have got the power of hindsight, so we can then go
Yeah.
back and connect all the dots. So yes, thank you so much, Justine, and
Thank you
thank you
for
so
having
much
me.
for the audience for listening. We would love to hear from you. You know, what are your thoughts about this episode? If you have any thoughts, if you have any comments, and if you want to publicly announce, what are you going to commit to yourself, how are you going to be kind to yourself, please put that down in the chat box, and we can hold those affirmations for you, send it Reiki energy, and send you love from there. We would also love to hear from you. Well, what's the one takeaway that you have from Justine's story? Or maybe you played the little game and actually you can time point what point was Justine actually, when she was sharing her story, using different language. Play around with it. For those of you who are interested in finding out more about Justine, please visit her website. I've put it up on the screen. It's body-confidence at .co.uk. Make sure you check her out. She's got all of her more stories, and her how to connect better with her on there. Once again, everybody, thank you for listening today. Thank you so much, Justine, for being here and for showing up and sharing so vulnerably and honestly about your story and your healing. And that's it for today. Sending you love, energy, and peace.
Yeah, sending you all love too. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See you in the next episode.